Welcome back to the Captain's Logs, the podcast where I get ever slightly better at talking to a camera because I'm terrible at it. Uh, Sorry I missed last week. Normally I say I'm going to release it every Monday, but last week I was sick, I was behind on a lot of stuff, and I just didn't feel like doing it. So we skipped a week. That's fine. We skipped a week. I said that I'm going to try to have it out Mondays at 11. I've not hit that once, and I'm recording it, and it is 11:27 right now. So we're on a great pace to have this posted by 11. But this is going to be a bit of a shorter episode. I know it's already only like 20-something minutes normally, but this is going to be a shorter episode because I got other stuff to do today, and I still got to edit this. I want to talk really quick. Pokemon Champions came out. For those of you who don't know, I mean, it's pretty evident. This whole shelf is dedicated to Pokemon, practically. Big Pokemon fan, big VGC guy. I've only gone to a couple tournaments, but that's because tournaments are expensive, and I'm not good enough to make my money back. Otherwise, I'd just, keep feeding it in. Anyways, Pokemon Champions came out, and I've been digging it. I love that a whole bunch of new people are getting into VGC. I love running into all the people who you can tell are new. You can tell they do stuff that doesn't make sense. Like I ran into a special attacking Excadrill the other day. Ran into a special attacking King Gambit the other day. For those of you who don't get it, that's just it's absurd. Like there's no reason to do it. You're putting yourself at an incredible deficit if you're going to run a special attack on your King Gambit. So I've just thought a lot of that's funny, but there's been a lot of discourse about how to treat the new people in Pokemon Champions. And I don't really know which side to sit on. There's a bunch of people saying that prior competitors are being too harsh about certain intricacies. That if it was at like a tournament or something, it would result in a game loss if it was like an in-person tournament. And I just want to say, I completely understand. But I completely understand the sentiment of we should be harsh now when it doesn't really matter before someone spends like $1,000 to go to a tournament, halfway across the country, and they have an error on their team sheet or something. They have the wrong move marked or the wrong ability marked. One example I saw was someone freaking out about people who, on an open team sheet, you have to list just like 6 things. It's your Pokemon, their item, their ability, and their 4 moves. So 7 things. That's it. But a lot of people, mostly new people who don't understand, are putting, like if they have a Pokemon they want to Mega Evolve, they'll put the Mega Pokemon's ability instead of the base Pokemon's ability, which, that's an honest mistake, but there can be major implications there. Take for example, Mega Dragonite. Mega Dragonite's ability is always multi-scale, but regular Dragonite also has multi-scale. And that's important because if you see that, you might fake out into multi-scale to do the little chip so your next attack can do full damage, But instead of the base form having multi-scale like it says, they might have given it inner focus, and now it doesn't flinch, and now it blasts you with a Draco Meteor, And I can see where that'd be a problem, I don't know if anyone would ever do that intentionally, but you can see where I'm coming from. You can see that it's an issue. But I saw people like attacking this guy on Twitter over it, and it just didn't make any sense to me. Because I totally think we should be harsh on them now before they spend a whole ton of money. We should be harsh at the at-home tournaments so people get it. But yeah, that's besides that, I've been having a load of fun on Pokemon Champions. It's really great, super accessible. Obviously, like, Pokemon Showdown was more accessible, but this is probably the best we're going to get from, like, a monetized version of that. But I'm a big fan. Just hit Master Ball last night. Gonna make a push for Champions. I have, like, 14 days to do it or something. So we're going to get that done. But, this is off topic. Correct me if I'm staring at the camera and looking at the preview. I think I wore this shirt on the day of my last podcast 2 weeks ago. I think I wore this exact shirt. Also, you'll have to, I know it's an audio only podcast, but my beard's all messed up. I cannot get this side to lay flat. I've oiled it. I've put in the cream. I cannot get it to lay flat. So this is what you get. Besides that, my life's been pretty fine. Just, working. I didn't stream last week, because like I said, I was pretty under the weather. I was pretty under the weather last week. And I've also been playing a lot of Baldurs Gate. I'm playing that split screen with my wife, so it went condensed down extremely well on the computer. At least we wouldn't be able to see anything that's happening. So we've been having a good time playing that. I'll give a more thorough review on that later. But besides Baldur's Gate, I haven't really finished anything or played any new games beyond Baldur's Gate and Pokemon Champions. Strongly recommend Champions if you want to get into Pokemon, because it's as accessible as it's ever going to be. Limited Pokemon pool, limited item pool. So it's as easy to understand as it ever will be. So go ahead, and I strongly recommend hopping in right now. We actually did have D&D last week. Chat. I know we went like 2 weeks without it between my teeth and my wife being sick. I don't know if I mentioned that. That was probably in between last podcast. But between my wife being sick and my teeth hurting. So speaking of, one of my teeth still hurts. It's been 3 weeks. 3 weeks, I think. So that kind of blows. But I was told it might take 6 weeks, so we'll see. But anyways, my favorite thing that my D&D party did this week, they went to like a pseudo religious capital. I guess this isn't really a thing my party did. It's something I did that I thought was really funny. But they went to a pseudo religious capital. Most of the major churches have some form of worshiping ground in this city. And one of my favorite things was my players were walking around, talking to different priests, just trying to, they're still tracking down this necromancer. And he was alleged to have walked through this area. And, when they're walking around, they go into, they go into the temple of the god of time, or my god of time, I should say, because I do run my own pantheon. And my players, 2 of them go walking in there, and one of them's a Goliath monk who's just dumb as a box of rocks. And that one's played by my brother. It's a good time. But he walks up and he's asking, he asked the priest if he can ask a couple questions, and this priest just responds with jokes about time, all the, like, consistently. My monk walked in and he's like, "Hey man, could I ask you a couple questions? If you have the time." And every time he laughed and made a dumb joke, he'd take his little cane and bonk the monk on the forehead. Not enough to do any damage, but enough to just, like, picturing like a rubber mallet, just donk. And so combining my brother, who just already hates puns, listening to this guy just tell time pun after time pun, and every time bonk him in the forehead, I'm surprised he didn't start swinging on the priest, in all honesty. But that was quite enjoyable. That was pretty funny to me. Another one of my players ran into an owl that they had made friends with in a prior session. That's become somewhat of like a pseudo familiar, pseudo animal companion. It still has its own free will, but it follows him around now, which that's cool for him. That's great. They just found the necromancer, so I'll let you guys know next week how the necromancer turns out. Yeah, they're level 3 right now. The necromancer, they're hunting him down because he stole a scroll of Finger of Death and they're trying to retrieve it. I don't plan on him using it. I don't think that's going to happen, but stay tuned. I'll let you guys know what happens next week. Besides that, it's been a pretty dry week. I didn't stream, but I am going to try to stream more this week. Specifically, I'm probably going to do Thursday and Saturday. So you can check me out on YouTube and Twitch on Thursday night and Saturday night. But beyond that, I'd appreciate if you liked or gave a comment. We didn't have any comments last week. I did have someone telling me that I should play Elden Ring, because I was making fun of me not playing in Elden Ring and bugging my brother about it. So I was told that I should just play Elden Ring, which I know I'll get around to it eventually. But go ahead and leave a comment, leave a question. I like to respond to them towards the end of the podcast. But like I said, we don't really have any going on today, so maybe more next time. Besides that, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for listening. I'd hugely appreciate a follow or a subscribe on my Twitch or my YouTube, or Spotify, I guess I post this on. But yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.